Hello, I am Delusion Dispeller, and I want to start out by wishing everybody a very happy and healthy and safe and balanced Valentine's Day. I hope and pray that today does not find you in the midst of a relationship you really wish you were not in. But if you are, just remember there's always hope until you breathe your last breath. That being said, I wanted to give you a quick update. My weight loss is pretty stabilized at about 190 right now, 190 pounds, give or take a few pounds. I'm trying to get down to 180. It's kind of a struggle, and I don't exactly know why. I'm not really doing anything a whole lot different than what I was doing. I probably could step up my exercise routine a little bit, but we'll work on that. Anyways, today I wanted to talk to you about why you attracted the narcissist in the first place, or why you might have attracted them. There's many reasons, but one of those reasons is what I want to talk to you about today. So let me get my notes out here and we will resume. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can read it easily because the font is a bit small. Okay. Chances are that you were given a message when you were younger as a child that you were not allowed to have boundaries. You had to do certain things that you were told to do, such as kissing that uncle that just got a little bit too close for comfort and you weren't happy with that and you really didn't want to be that close with him. But your mother or father said, you have to do this. You have to kiss Uncle Henry. And if you told them, well, he touches me in a certain way or he hugs me a little too tight and I'm uncomfortable with it, you were told something like, oh, well, it's just a polite thing to do. We'll just pretend we didn't hear that. That's your uncle. You owe him a hug. You owe him a kiss. Look at all the nice things he buys for you, etc. You weren't allowed to establish a boundary that was a very healthy boundary. Another example would be you may have been beat up by your brothers and sisters. And I don't mean just play fighting. I mean literally beat up when your parents weren't looking, etc. Or maybe they were looking. And when you addressed that issue, you were pretty much told, well, you should defend yourself. I shouldn't have to protect you. And you knew that you couldn't defend yourself because your brothers and sisters were a lot older and stronger than you were. And these are only some examples, so you may have different examples of where you were not able to say no and put up a boundary. You might have been told if you were a boy, you just have to take it like a man. Don't be such a wussy. Don't be a wimp. You make mountains out of molehills. You exaggerate everything. You're so dramatic. In situations where you really need an adult to step in and put a stop to what you were going through. You were forbidden to say things like, I don't like that. I don't prefer to eat that type of food. I don't want to do that. I don't agree with that. I feel wrong saying that. You're forbidden to say words like, no, I will not. I don't want to. Don't touch me that way. That hurts. Don't treat me that way. Don't talk to me that way. It's not okay for you to say or do that to me. That's not acceptable to me. You weren't taught that. Not only were you not taught that, you probably were told you weren't allowed to say those things. Such as, don't talk to me like that, I am your mother. How dare you disrespect me, I'm your father. Or I'm your older sister, and you're going to mind me. In ways that you really shouldn't have had to put up with. Adults that were not allowed to set these boundaries as children are going to struggle with this for years later, most likely. Adults that lack these boundaries and lack the ability to say no, and were forbidden, I have a piece of hair in my mouth or something, sorry, were forbidden to speak up for themselves and protect themselves, they will go along with whatever other people want of them so they don't rock the boat. Sometimes they have been so accustomed to doing this, to giving in to others in areas that they don't want to give into, that they often don't even notice when they're in these relationships where people are toxic to them. You see a lot of Stockholm Syndrome, which we've talked about in another videotape, in which the abuser does enough nice things that the person, the adult person, will say, well, yeah, they hit me, but it was only once, and they'll never do it again, and, you know, it was only one black eye, he didn't blacken both my eyes, something dumb like that, that makes no sense. You don't defend an abuser, but very often children, you'll find, will defend their abusers, and even adults will, if it was programmed into them that they had no right to not take the abuse. These people often end up in very demanding, often narcissistic and abusive relationships because of that. When a person does realize that he or she is in one of these bad relationships, they often have a hard time getting out of it or even confronting the abuser. This is because you don't want to make them angry, you don't want to rock the boat, you're afraid of them leaving you or abandoning you or maybe even punishing you in some way. You want to be selfless. You want to be a giving person. You're a Christian or you're a good-hearted person, and you don't want to do anything to offend the other person or make them feel like you don't care. Whether they're making you feel like they don't care or not, that doesn't matter, because you're going to be the bigger person and you're going to give in. You want to make the other person happy. You're afraid of disobeying God, possibly. You have an intense need to depend on that other person, whether financially or otherwise. I have a lot of emails that come to me about people that are financially dependent on the narcissist in their life. Don't allow yourself to get into those positions. Don't take on a situation where you're going to owe that person money or where they are your full support person. And it's hard if you're handicapped or something or mentally challenged. You often have to rely on other people. That's when you need an advocate, and I encourage you to look into an advocacy program if you are in that situation. Sometimes you don't say no and set those boundaries because you feel guilty. You feel like, well, you know, they're at least taking me in under their roof and I should be willing to do whatever they say. No, you shouldn't. Not if it's something that's toxic and dangerous to you. Not if it's something that makes you feel like you're violating what you know is right and wrong. Sometimes you won't confront or leave the situation because of all these things. There's a verse in the Bible talks about not returning again unto a yoke of bondage from which Jesus set us free. If you keep on returning to these yokes, there's a reason for it, and it might have happened, like I said, back in your past. The only way to avoid these yokes of bondage that attach us and keep us attached to these toxic people is to know who we are and what we will or will not tolerate, what is acceptable and what is unacceptable behavior. To have firm boundaries, to be able to be assertive with other people and have a strong worth and balance in your life. These things can come about when you seek God, a counselor, experienced in trauma clients, handling people that have been through traumatic situations. When you do the work with yourself and you stay clear of those that entrap you, devalue you, abuse you, and torment you. Don't keep going back there. Do the no contact thing. Do the minimize contact thing. If you can't quite let go, hold on loosely. I love that term. It comes from Melody Beattie's The Language of Letting Go book. As a counselor, even I can't give you some kind of a magic cure. Even Dr. Phil says on his show all the time, we don't do 3-minute miracles here, or something like that. Along those lines. What it boils down to is you have to want to get the help. You have to want to get out of that situation. I always tell people, when the situation that you're in becomes more upsetting to you than the one that you're not yet in, the fear of the unknown type of thing, then you'll leave. Until then, you will stay there with that abuser and keep putting up with the abuse. Until you are willing and able to see yourself as valuable, you will continue to attract these types of people that just continue to affirm the bad feelings you have in yourself, about yourself, and those bad beliefs that you hold about yourself. So you owe it to yourself to break free. Get some help. Talk to a safe person, like I always say. Do some self-work. There's a lot of great books out there, and if you need any referrals for those books or counselors, I'll be happy to help you. God bless you. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight as to why you attracted the narcissist or the abuser or the toxic person into your life in the first place. Stay tuned. I'll be putting out another video shortly. God bless you, and thanks for watching. And once again, happy Valentine's Day. Keep the comments coming. I really care. Let me know your story. Stay in touch.